See all of you? Stand. We're going to see some music together. You make all things work together for my good. That's
All right, what's up, y'all? Welcome to Wesley. My name's Matt. I have some announcements for you this evening. So tonight, our guest speaker is, look at this paper. Our guest speaker is Mike Feeley from Mountain Ministries, and he brought us some cups, and I'm going to give these away real quick. So I'm thinking of a number between 1 and 100. Just shout it out.
17.
40, 20.
No.
17. 62.
No.
47.
No.
83. 71.
No.
42.
That's close.
33.
That's it.
Oh,
That's one. I have one more. All right, I got a good one. Who can guess my favorite animal?
yeah. A giraffe.
Otter.
A giraffe.
Lion.
Who's it?
Tiger. Congratulations.
I love tigers, man. All right.
Hey, Matt, Mountaintop and Mike also bought us Chick-fil-A tonight, so can we say
Thank you, Mike. Well, that's going to be my next announcement is that we're going to Chick-fil-A tonight. Also tonight, after dinner, we are going bowling at Holiday Lanes. So we're going to all carpool over there and bowl for a little bit. Next Tuesday, we're having a mission night kickoff. We're partnering with Muncie to serve the community. John Redland's going to come speak for us. We have a leadership meeting on February the 12th, so if you're on the leadership team, make sure you come to that at 7 p.m. We have Bible studies Wednesdays at 4 p.m. if you're interested in that. And on Mondays, every Monday from 3 to 5, I'm here making grilled cheeses for free, so come get a grilled cheese if you're free during that time. That's all I got. Floor announcements this evening.
Yes, actually, intramurals are opening up, and we're thinking about putting in a spike ball team. So it is limited to 2 people. However, we can have as many teams as we want. So if that's something that you're interested in, talk to me after the service, and we'll get each other sell it out.
Cool. Talk to Raymond about intramurals. All right.
We'll pray with me. Lord, we just gather here tonight, so thankful for your love and forgiveness and mercy. Lord, as we go in tonight and gather for worship, I just pray that we grow closer to you, closer to each other, Lord, and that you would strengthen this community. Just prepare our hearts for what you would like us to hear. Amen.
all right. Stand again.
Your grace remains the shelter that I see.
Galatians 6:9. So let us not grow weary in doing what is right, for we will reap at harvest time if we do not give up.
I was just settling in. This has been awesome. Okay, it takes a turn now, I know, but anyway. So. Love the music. Band, that was tight. That was wonderful. Next time I will bring my trombone. And it's actually some other jazz musicians that play a lot better than me, but I'll bring my trombone and look at it while they play. But I'm glad to be with y'all this evening. It has been a long time since I've been in this building, and I think the last time I was in this building, I was not a lot older than I'm guessing the average age of folks here, although I'm not going to guess average ages, but I was about 27. I just started out as a Methodist minister down in, or United Methodist minister down in Dandridge, Tennessee, and I got a call. I went to seminary up in Washington, D.C., at Wesley Seminary, came down to Dandridge, had 4 churches, and I had no idea. I'm from Chattanooga, actually. Lookout Mountain is home, so I didn't even know that much about Tennessee beyond, say, the Knoxville, but that bridge. I thought there's Johnson City. I've been up there when I was in marching band in high school. We came up here, went to Kingsport. I marched down the center of the road in Bristol, where you had a foot in Tennessee and a foot in Virginia. I think that stuff's real cool, but I'm a historian, so go there. But I thought, man, Wesley Foundation. I was a terrible Wesley Foundation person in college. I went to the University of Georgia, and we'll talk a little bit more about that, but my Wesley experience was friends of mine saying, dude, you never show up to hear me anymore. Come on by. And I'd go, and I'd get a free dinner, which was really cool. It wasn't Chick-fil-A. That wasn't invented then, I don't think. But it was pretty cool, and I was broke, and it was Georgia, and I had to spend all my money in Athens that weekend on Bible studies and other things, so I didn't have time to. So anyway, I would go, and it was fun, but I wasn't really I wasn't great at a lot of stuff. But what I remember of the Wesley Foundation was every time I walked in the doors, they were really nice to me. They were really kind. And they would also not charge me for dinner because I was really broke from bad decisions. That's not the message for tonight, but that's, if there's ever a recall, that's a pay-per-view. We'll do that one, say that, we'll charge on that one. But so when they said, would you be on the board, I came up, this is 1992. And I came up here in September, and it was dark, I don't mean to make it sound terrible. It was dark, it was a stormy night, it was snow both ways or whatever, but it was dark, and I came to this building and went to my first board meeting and had a lot of fun. And was on the board here from about 92 to 96. So I will real quickly give you a couple of Wesley stories and then get us out of here about 10 o'clock so y'all can go bowling. But the most of what I remember from Wesley, and I didn't come down into, I don't think I was ever in this part of the building, but again, it's been a while, so I may just be admitting I can't remember where I was 30 years ago, but we'd meet upstairs, we'd have dinner, Keitha would cook, the other folks would cook it sometimes, it was fun, and then we'd have the board meeting, and someone would always, there was always something breaking down. That doesn't happen anymore, I don't think, but it was back then, and we all had all these great windows. The building was great, but it wasn't built to actually keep heat in or cool or anything like that. It was just, there was always issues. So that's to help Caleb feel better in case they've always been issues since St. Paul's here. But the thing that I remembered were the events we did. And so one of the biggest things that I got involved in, I do a lot of work in the Spanish language community, and I worked a lot in Cuba, Mexico, and I chair, this sounds like super Methodist talk, but we have, in the United Methodist, we have conference committees on stuff. I still chair the one for Hispanic Latino ministries throughout our conference. So I'm involved in that real heavily, even though I'm also do Mountaintop, which I'll talk about in a little bit as well. But one of the things that Jerry Everly at that time wanted to take a mission trip. He said, Feely, where are we going to go? And I said, you can go to Mexico, we go down there. So he went, we had like 45 people, which is great. And some of them are people that you may know. I don't know if Leanna Robertson still comes around, but she was a student on that trip. Keith Moore Keith Moore was a student when I was here. I don't know, that is dating things. And then Casey Castanier and Amanda Dean, who's a pastor in Chattanooga now, and all these cool people were on this trip. Keith might not have been on this, he graduated, but everybody else was. So we got on this bus that Jerry Everly, and if you talk to him, you can quote me on this. He got this bus, it looked real good. We got on it, they picked me up at Greenville. I was pastoring in Greenville by that particular time at Asbury Church. And we drove, and we were all on our way to Mexico. We were going to fly, but we were having a road trip. It didn't really turn into a road trip. The bus broke down in Strawberry Plains. And right there at exit 397 or whatever it is. And so we waited there for about an hour, got the bus together. And then we kept going. It was awesome. But I thought about it today, about the next spot we broke down, which I passed on the way up. It was in Athens, exit 49, a gas station that's still there. There's still a plaque. Was not a plaque, but there will be one day before we broke down because it was gone. The bus just fell apart. And we were there, and I thought, we'll never get to Mexico. This was 1996. And then we had all these pastors from Chattanooga that Jerry knew suddenly came up, picked us up in vans, took us to Chattanooga. We spent the night with Brent Hall and his parsonage, all 50 of us or whatever. And then we called another school bus the next morning. It looked really dorky, but it worked. Got us to the Atlanta airport, and we went off to Chattanooga, to Mexico. And we had a great time. And everybody came back, and we used another bus company to get back up. I remember those things, and so you'll have to indulge me a little bit. I guess in some ways because I'm old enough now at age 59, love history, but I remember, and I think you may as well, pivotal things sometimes when you're traveling. When I came in today, I left Mount Eagle this morning when I was in a meeting, and Mountaintop is located over in Grundy County and 6 other counties, over close to where Sewanee is. If you've ever been to the University of the South, so a little bit above Chattanooga, a little bit below Nashville. I was at a ministers meeting over there for folks in that part of the state. And then it's about 4 hours from there to here. So I'm driving through, and I'm like, oh, I'm driving through Chattanooga, and there's where I grew up on Lookout Mountain, and here's where my house is in Chattanooga, and here's where this church was at one exit, and here's another church I served at this exit, and here's where the bus broke down at this exit, and on my way up here. And I thought about those markers that we go through, and this is why this scripture means something to me. It's a theme scripture for Mountaintop this year. Now, everybody picks 3 theme scriptures. Conference camps do, everybody's got one. No one's ever used the theme scripture that I wanted. When I worked up in Kentucky, we had a camp that always had, at Henderson Settlement, excuse me, it always had, they were always picking theme scripture. They said, what's something that will inspire people? I always wanted to use the shortest verse in the Bible. Does anybody know what that is? Jesus wept, because I'd seen some of our construction projects. And I thought, that's actually not really a joke. And I thought this would be like truth in advertising. Everybody else was like, that's terrible for marketing, so we're not going to do that. But I wanted one that said, come work with us, Jesus wept. Just that I thought, we didn't do that. But we pick stuff, Mountaintop does each year, and Galatians 6:9 is the one we picked this year. So you've heard it before, don't grow weary in well-doing. And that's important. But I also love the piece in there about reaping, which is agricultural related, the harvest and all that good stuff. Excuse me, I've got a little bit of a cold, it's not contagious, but it's driving me crazy. The piece that, what brings that to my attention on that is the idea of cultivation. And I guess that's what I'm thinking about tonight. Is you look back over your life so far, and I look back over my life so far. It's sometimes we're in places where we don't want to look back over anything that much, but for most of us, especially those of y'all who might be seniors, and if you're like me, hopefully you're not like me on this, but I was a terrible senior at the University of Georgia. I just sort of gave up in February and thought, I think they'll let me graduate even so. Don't do that, but that's called senioritis. It can happen at I think that happened in my junior and sophomore years too, now I think about it. But anyway, it can happen anywhere, but I would start getting sentimental and thinking about this and thinking about that. Sometimes we're called to kind of look back a little bit. As I came up today, I was kind of thinking about different things I've been involved with Wesley on, but also other ministries up here and other things that I've done. So here's the question. And you may have already fallen asleep. It's dark in the back there where some of y'all are leaning kind of in peculiar ways. That's usually where I sit too, by the way. But here's the question. How do you cultivate a life of not only of meaning, we talk about that a lot, but how do you cultivate a life of mission? How do you cultivate? When you look back, I mean, now, as I came up the interstate, there were several exits that I didn't want to think about because that's where I kind of made some dumb mistakes down that road. Or in one place where I knew the car had broken down, I didn't want to think about that either. I mean, there's dumb things we've done along the way, but as we look back along a life, as we look forward, what does a life of ministry look like? What does a life of mission look like? And I'm not talking about ordained ministry per se. I'm talking about who you and I are called to be in all the things that God has gifted us with. I was asking several of y'all about what majors tonight. I'm excited about all the things y'all are majoring in. I'm glad I didn't take some of those classes. I would still be at the University of Georgia trying to probably deal with senioritis in this case. But I'm fascinated by learning. I just got my master's in history last year. During COVID, it seemed like a great time to go back to school, and now I want to get a doctorate as well. Mainly just because I want to sit around and impress people at age 70 that come up. But I love learning about history. I love knowing why people make the decisions they do. I just love all that stuff. And there's things you're passionate about as well. So how do we cultivate that passion? And how do we cultivate what it means to be in ministry together? How do we cultivate a life? So let me give you 3 quick points that I thought of between mile marker 49 and about mile marker 78. Because I've struggled with this. I thought, what do you tell folks? Well, here's 3. This is just 3. 3 things that I think help. First one is, if you're going to cultivate a life of mission, take the long view. I used to react to everything, and I know these days, with social media especially, we just ponder and think about things before we reply, and now I'm being sarcastic, we are like a nation of ping pong sometimes, and I'm nothing against ping pong or table tennis, but somebody comments, I want to press like. I press like. My daughters who are in their 20s, one of them actually teaches college. They're like, Dad, you don't have to react to everything. I'm like, you put it up there. I want to press like. Well, no, you don't have to press like. This is what you do with old people, is you kind of just move them gently out of the way, But the long view is God's view. I think of several places in my own life where I ran against the wall in some really painful ways. Didn't think through some things. And sometimes I used to swing at every pitch, which is an old term, but literally react to everything. And sometimes we're called simply to just be. That's hard to do. Hard to do when you've got, right now some of y'all are thinking, all right, get on with it. We've got to eat dinner, and I've got a test that's due tomorrow. We've always got deadlines and stuff coming up, but we're called to take a long view if we're going to cultivate a life of mission. What does it mean? A long view sometimes is doing like what y'all were doing upstairs, just sitting and being with each other. That's pretty chill. That really is me. We don't do that real well in a lot of places. We exist by each other, but we're not with each other. There's a difference. So take the long view. Don't swing at every pitch. Some of my best friends now are people I couldn't stand in high school. I wasn't at Wesley enough to know who I couldn't stand there, but I will say that I still have letters that were written to me from people at Wesley back in 1984, 1985. Some of these folks are ministers now. One guy who was a marvelous preacher he had a brain tumor and died a few years ago, but I was able to communicate, keep in touch with folks later on in life and say, hey, it turned out I was better than I thought I was. I turned out to be the person you thought I might be, Glenn Etheridge. And I got to tell him that before he passed away. You invited me to Wesley to hear you preach. I showed up. I've never forgotten that. And then people sometimes need to hear that too. The long view. That's what God calls us to be about. Number 2, invest in others. Man, y'all do all sorts of stuff like that already. But literally, invest in others. It can be certainly your family, it can be whoever. But I don't know if I was ever a really good preacher, but I was a really good after-school program attendant. Any place I'm in, we start up ministries. We just reach out to kids. And take the long view on those too. When I was in Greenville, we had a wonderful program we did with Holston Home called Big Buddies. It was with the school that they had there. I don't know if the school's still there. And the school was a neat school. But it was for kids who were really going through some really tough stuff and had to be, in some cases, dealing with medication and other things. They didn't have family around. by court order in most cases. So we would go over there and eat lunch with them and just hang out. I'm a horrible basketball player, but I learned to shoot a lot of layups and then a lot of games of horse for years, for at least a whole year with this one young man who I would visit every Wednesday. We had a great time. Now here's the Longview piece. We had a great time, but one time I went there after a year of working with him, week in and week out, investing in him, and he wasn't there. And I said, where is he? And one of the teachers said, he got arrested for hot wiring a car. And I thought, and then I got to hear that from some other people who I'm sure meant well, were like, well, Mike, we can see how your influence has been really good with the young people. And I was like, well, he went off to a state institution for a little while, and I thought, man, I dropped the ball somewhere. I mean, I hadn't, but you know how that is when you feel it. And about 2 years later, I was walking through downtown Greenville, which is, some of y'all know, is about 2 blocks, but anyway, it's still downtown. And on my way probably to Tipton's, I think, because I ate there all the time, and I heard somebody call out my name. It was this young man who wasn't quite as young anymore. And he said, hey, I'm okay. I've missed seeing you, but I did a little bit of time. I'm back out. Things are good. I'm back with my family. Thank you so much. Longview. See what God will do. Invest in others. Y'all do that all the time, but I can't say that enough. While you're here, be somebody of meaning to somebody else, and make their life better as well. You'll remember that. They'll remember that. I sure remember that. And then the last thing is, be open. Be open to what God will do. Some of y'all have it planned out. I know you do. I mean, you've got a computer program of some kind or an app that says my life in 3easysteps.com or whatever it is. I mean, you've got it ready to go. And then sometimes God changes the script on us a little bit. Sure it has with me over the years. One of the things I used to inflict upon my church in Greenville and upon the youth group is this Dr. Seuss book that I love, still do. It's really too long to read in church unless service is going to go over a little bit, but it's Oh, the Places You'll Go. Love that book. Some of you, I don't know if y'all are, that's last century, Dr. Seuss, but just in case you might have seen that book, the book basically says, you're going to do all these marvelous things, you're equipped to do all these things, but we don't know what's going to be like yet, just be prepared to go anywhere. That's a paraphrase, but it's Oh, the Places You'll Go. Love that book. And if you're open to what God may throw your way, you'll go places as well. You may have a direct path that's exactly 30 years from now where you thought you'd be. But I would almost guarantee there's going to be some detours around the way. Be open to what God might do. How do you cultivate a sense of mission? Being involved with others, being open to what God's doing, and being aware of where God may be calling you. Real briefly, a quick word about Mountaintop, the sponsor of tonight's day. But the Mountaintop's a marvelous ministry. I've been there 2 years as the executive director. We are in Middle Tennessee. You guys used to come there for spring break. I say you guys in sort of a generic historical way, but the Wesley Foundation has been over there before. But we work in 7 counties in Tennessee, 3 in the Sequatchie Valley, which I just love saying Sequatchie Valley everywhere I can go. That just sounds cool. But it's basically Marion County, Bledsoe, and I'm drawing Sequatchie County right there in the that's cool too. But anyway, over there by Chattanooga, and then 4 counties up on the Cumberland Plateau, which includes the area around Sewanee, Monteagle, Grundy County, all the way up to Minville, Tennessee. Basically, if you drew a triangle between Chattanooga, Crossville, and Cookeville, we work in those particular counties and those areas. We do home repair, and do all sorts of great stuff. A couple 100, 300 jobs a year. Getting ready to build some houses from the ground up, but we've been repairing things and running day camps with little kids for a long time in that area, close to 50 years. Started out at a place called the Henry Rural Life Center. And this is always great praise, we borrowed all their good ideas, brought them back and put them on the Cumberland Plateau. So we have about 1,000 people that show up each year. We run a big summer program, and it's mainly 8th grade, 7th and 8th grade and up that come during the summer. But during the spring and the fall, we have adult weekend ministry trips where folks come in and do home repair. And then we have the spring breakout trips where college groups come in. And we have college groups from all over the country that will show up, mainly from the southeast, but occasionally from other places as well. It is, and I still need staff, you'll hear this from other everybody needs staff, but we have a really cool summer staff that, and I'm actually getting ready to hire some full-time staff too, but we have a really neat summer staff that come in, and it's really it's kind of a leadership development thing as much as summer staff, because when you come in, we teach you how to fundraise, we teach you how to speak in public if you're not comfortable with that already. We teach you how to teach other people how to build things. You learn how to do architectural designs. You learn how to do building plans. You learn how to take a team and build ramps and work on roofs and do all sorts of stuff. So it's a really neat group, and it's really cool to also see the alumni come back and brag each year about, or not brag, but talk about how Mountaintop helped them to become pastors, helped them to do this, and helped them to do that. So Broad Literature, it's upstairs. Love to have y'all come. Even love just to have you come by and see the place sometime. So, and I'll probably show up here again anyway, because Caleb went to Wesley and he's really, really cool. So, I mean, he's worth coming by to visit anyway. So, and to see y'all. But I do want to leave you with that. Mountaintop is a place where people live out purpose. But so are the other camps. I was on staff at Camp Lookout for a while. I worked with the old Buffalo Mountain with special needs camps. Oh my gosh, right around the corner there's places that are just, they're looking for people who can bring them purpose, who can help them to cultivate. My prayer for us tonight is that we wouldn't grow weary in well-doing, and that includes the well-doing that you're doing academically as well. But my prayer is that not only we wouldn't grow weary, but we might be excited about what's coming up next at age 19, at age 29, even at age 59. Because I think God is still at work in the world, even on a dark night. There's still some good stuff ready to happen. I'd like to be part of it. My prayer is that all of us will be part of it as well.